We all know that trust is so important in a sales relationship. We want to build trust with our prospects so that they trust us and they believe that we can deliver the service we promised and then essentially and eventually close the sales. But how do you generate trust? It's easier said than done. Let me share with you some of my tips to help you establish trust with your prospects, even the most demanding ones. Hi, everybody. This is Melinda, founder of Women Making Big Sales. We're here to share with you the strategies, tips, tactics of selling to big companies for small entrepreneurs. We believe that small entrepreneurs, it's time for us to capture those big opportunities. And it's like our gateway to have that work-life balance we always wanted, the financial freedom we always wanted, and the steady and stable sales that we always wanted so that we can really focus on what we love doing the most instead of constantly chasing after small clients and the clients that are not ready to pay for what we're really worth. So today we're talking about building trust with our big prospects. And here is the thing with sales. We approach a prospect, and the moment they know that we're a service provider, it could be either at a networking event or while you're doing social selling, so you're connecting with a prospect on LinkedIn, or it could even be a cold contact, whatever it is, under whatever circumstances. Oftentimes, your prospect knows instantly that you're hoping to work with them. It becomes that kind of buyer-seller relationship. The buyer is over there, your prospect's over there and say, I'm really not ready to spend more money. I don't care what this person is trying to sell to me, but I really do not want to spend more money. And whereas us, the seller, we're hoping to work with this person, and there's always a belief that there's great things we can do for our prospect, and we're excited to sell to them. But there's always that gap and distance between that buyer and seller, and a lot of times that's why it's hard to generate a productive sales conversation. We're hoping that they would give us more information about their situation, but they do not want to share those information with us because they know that we're going to use that information to sell to them. So trust becomes a very, very important thing. Sales, how to establish that trust and to continue with that sales relationship becomes so essential, especially at the beginning of the sales relationship, because you just met that person. The person does not know anything about you, and they have no idea of your success stories, your education, your background, and your passion. How do you generate trust? Here are some tips that I would like to share with you. The first tip is that create opportunity to prove yourself. What do you mean? What do I mean by that? At the beginning of the sales relationship, the challenge is often that the person does not know you. The person does not know that your background and your character. That's why at the beginning of the sales relationships, it would be very useful to create opportunities to demonstrate your characters. So for example, if you are at the beginning, when you're just starting to speak with your prospect for the first time or the second time, create opportunities to keep your promise. Instead of sell to them, tell them that, hey, let me send you a few information about your company. Or let me check out your company and send you my insights, my thoughts about what you're experiencing now. And the next day, do it as you promised. And also start your email says, as I promised, or as I promised, or like I promised yesterday, so that you are demonstrating the fact that you're a person that is, or you're a seller that is keeping your promise. And the similar thing is at the beginning of your sales relationships, give yourself opportunities to demonstrate your character. What do you mean by that? So, for example, if you just meet with this prospect for the first time, rather than sell to them or ask them for something in return, meaning, can I have a sales meeting with you? Or can I have a quick phone call with you? Can I talk about my business with you? Instead, offer to do something for them. I would be happy to take a look at your company and send you an email about what I think of your company. Or I would love to take a look at your competitors and let you know whether I have some ideas to help you with your competitor's new initiative. And the next day, send them what you promised. If you are somebody who always keeps your promise, inevitably you're going to build trust with your prospect. So the first thing is that, demonstrate that you are the person that will always keep your promise. And that is one step closer to building trust with your prospect. The second trick is that show your prospect that you respect their decision-making process. And that's really early on at the beginning of your sales relationship. Always don't hesitate to tell your prospect that I would like to respect you. And whenever you feel like you're ready to make the decision, just let me know. And that would be a very refreshing way to show your prospect that, hey, first of all, I'm not desperate. And second of all, I respect you. And that is another way to build trust with your prospects. So at the very early on of your sales relationship, feel free to tell your prospects that I respect your time. Whenever you're ready to speak with me, I am here. And that would be another way to build trust with your prospect. And the third thing, I always love doing that, it's humor. Humor is such a useful tool to harmonize the relationship. Like I said at the beginning, there's the seller and buyer, and the seller doesn't want to. The seller wants to sell to the buyer, but the buyer has no interest of buying, right? And then it's such a confrontational relationship. Using the humor would be able to ease up that tension and tell your prospect that I am not nervous about this. It's a fine, and you should not be nervous about it too. So find your So use humor to harmonize this whole relationship. And at the same time, it'll allow you to be more relaxed. Because after all, it's not just about sales, it's about that relationship. So, tell yourself at the same time is that you want to make sure that it's a harmonized relationship. Because after all, especially when you're working with big clients, signing the contract or closing the sales does not mean the end of that relationship. In fact, it only means the start of a relationship. So you want to make sure that it's a respectful relationship that you can continue to cultivate. You will continue to enjoy working with this person for a long period of time. So enjoy it and use humor, be relaxed, and that your client is going to feel like it. Will be able to feel the confidence you have. Transparency. Transparency is also a great way to build trust. What do I mean? What do I mean by transparency? It's the transparency I mean is that be very transparent to your prospect of why you're doing things for them. This is what I notice, especially with a lot of entrepreneurs. We help our prospect a lot of things, especially, we were taught that we need to give a lot before and demonstrate our value first before we can ask for the sales. So a lot of small entrepreneurs, we would, send, business proposals. We would be able to talk to our prospects for a long period of time. And especially if it's a prospect that tend to drag on in terms of their decision-making process. They might not even end up working with you. But because of the fact that we really want to work with this prospect, we would end up giving lots of time for this prospect and not really asking much in return. And I like to be transparent with my prospect. And I always say it at the beginning is that, hey, I would love to have an opportunity to work with you. And as a result, I'm giving you some useful content to demonstrate my value. And hopefully at the end, we will have a chance to work with each other and you will be able to sign the contract that I've always dreamed of. But by telling them that, first of all, you're giving value because you want to demonstrate your value. And second of all, at the end, you're hoping that you would be able to work with each other. All of a sudden, we all know what this process is about. Your prospect knows that, hey, she is demonstrating value, and eventually, once I make up my mind, she would like to know whether we could work with each other. It gives the prospect an understanding of what this process is, and having that understanding, not knowing that, not having any unknowns, it harmonizes that relationship. Instead of, you continue to give to this prospect, sending out interesting documents and be very helpful, and not really telling them the whole process about, the prospect is going to be wondering, okay, well, I know she kind of wants to demonstrate a value. I'm not really interested. Am I interested? What's the next step? Is she just being nice and stuff like that? So sometimes transparency in saying that, hey, I would like to sell to you. I would love to be able to work with you, could be really, really, could be a lot easier, and to both parties. And this is especially, I often see a lot of female entrepreneurs do that, especially if they meet somebody at networking events and they connect with this person. Secretly, we would love to work with this person, but we hate to ask for the sales. So we continue to do a lot of great things for this person, but we never end up asking for the sales. And the other person thought, hey, this person seemed like a nice person. Our prospect thinks that we seem like a nice person. They really enjoy having us as companies, but they didn't know what we wanted. And it becomes a mess afterwards. So be transparent with that sales relationship, with ease up the relationship, and start to create a sense of trust, because you have a mutual understanding of what this process is about. And the last thing is personalization. There's too much emphasis these days on automations and marketing automations and email automations. If you're selling to big companies, the big companies expect personalized service from you, especially when you're trying to target 5-6 figure sales. Your big prospects deserves personalized service. So if you're selling big accounts and if you know that, hey, you don't have that many prospects to manage, it's not like you're managing 100 or 200 prospects. If you really focus on your target market, you know that you're only managing about 20 prospects, then provide personalized information. Make sure that when you're communicating with them, sometimes you could talk about the news that's happened to them. Do a quick research about the company, about the industry, and about what's happened to them, and send a quick personalized notes to them. And this is also very important to create that kind of trust. So here are some tips for you to think about when you're trying to create trust with your prospects. Create opportunities to keep your promise, so that the prospect knows that you are a seller that would always keep your promise and you'll always deliver what you promised. And the second thing would be respectful of their decision-making process. Tell them that you want to respect their time. Take it slow in terms of that whole sales process. Use humor. Third tip, use humor to harmonize that relationship. Hey, life's too short. You want to have a fun conversation with this prospect. Even if they're your prospects, take it easy. It's that's going to help you and help your prospects. Transparency. Be very transparent with the whole sales process. Tell them why you're delivering value, and tell them why you really want to work with them, and tell them what you want in terms of end results. You want to sign a contract with them. You would love that they would buy your product at the end. Tell them that sales process so that they know what to expect. And last thing, be personalized. Always think of ways to personalize your message, and make sure that your message talks about their most relevant information or news. That's it. I hope you find it useful. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and to your big sales. Talk to you next time.